Hello, we're Teacher Karina's students and we're here to talk to you about H.P. Lovecraft's most important works.
H.P. Lovecraft is considered one of the most important writers of the horror genre. He would write about the unnameable, the unspeakable, and the indescribable. In his stories, he created hideous monsters and now they're gods that, if seen, could drive humans insane. Therefore, they could not and were not described sometimes, and that was also because of his belief of the reader's internal imagination being so much greater than the power of words. Madness was a recurring theme as well, appearing in various contexts within his stories. Finally, Lovecraft would also explore cosmic horror, which is the idea of humanity being meaningless when compared to the vast cosmic universe. The sense of not having a real importance or a considerable existence is already terrifying to people. Now, let's get down to H.P. Lovecraft's most important works. The Color Out of Space tells the story of when a meteorite crashes into Earth and drains the life of everything around it. It is an example of cosmic horror, showing the insignificance and fragility of the world as we know it. The theme of madness is also present when the people and the animals go insane after the crash. The Thing on the Doorstep. A tale of identity theft is told by a man to justify why he murdered his best friend. It brings out the horror within marriage, identity, and gender anxiety. The Case of Charles Dexter Ward talks about a man's fascination with one of his ancestors, who physically resembled him. Ward eventually resurrects the dead, and this Lovecraft story is often identified as one of the first takes on the modern idea of zombie. The Shadow over Innsmouth. In the town of Innsmouth, people are not quite what they seem. Aquatic monsters and humans can produce amphibian hybrids, and the narrator himself eventually finds out he has alien ancestors and must return to the sea. The story adds to the Cthulhu mythos, which are better described in the following story. The Call of Cthulhu consists of 3 independent narratives linked together when the narrator discovers notes left by a deceased relative. Connecting all the pieces of information he has got seems to disturb the narrator and, in a way, make him value ignorance. The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live in a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. H.P. Lovecraft, The Call of Cthulhu. In the first part of the story, The Horror in a Clay, the narrator finds a sculpture that represented a grotesque creature. Then, in the tale of Inspector Legress, the second part of the story, a policeman discovers a cult that centers on a statue named Great Cthulhu. Finally, in The Madness from the Sea, the narrator finds the story of a ship whose crew freed the creature known as the Great Cthulhu. He manages to find a manuscript written by the only sailor who survived, and the notes narrated the moment he encountered the grotesque monster of the seas. The story ends when the narrator affirms that the cult still lives and that the Cthulhu will be back whenever the stars are right once more. The characters of the Great Cthulhu are George Gamel Engel, a professor at Brown University whose notes about the Cthulhu cult were discovered after his death by his grandnephew Francis. Francis Wayland Thurston is the narrator of the story, and his discovery of Gamel's notes probably sealed his fate. The Great Cthulhu is the antagonist. A long time ago, he fought against the elder things of Earth. This Lovecraft story is so influential that the rock band Metallica wrote a song called The Call of Cthulhu. Also, in 2005, the story was adapted into film.
That's it. Thanks for watching. Bye!